All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talking Niagara. I'm here with Dave Wheeler, and we are Talking Niagara. Okay, so this is the talk show that's about the news and events that impact Niagara Falls. Not all of them are in Niagara Falls, but I think they all impact us to a certain degree. There's an interesting story today, but we'll get onto that. How's your night been, Dave? How was Toastmasters? Oh no, you're on your break, aren't you?
Yeah, we don't have many meetings during the summertime. We have the odd
Yeah,
online meeting, but that's about it.
yeah, informal gathering, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Um, okay. So Trump accuses banks of discriminating against him and his supporters. That's an intriguing story.
Yeah, and he might have something here because for a
Yeah.
while there, now he claims that it's him and other conservatives that are
Well,
being.
I'm deeply concerned by anything I hear of this kind of thing. He's saying him and other conservatives, but the story about him, he was given 20 days to get his money out of JP Morgan. Wow.
Well, after the. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, whatever I might feel about him, I think that's wrong.
Yeah, but he's claiming that, like he says, Trump accuses banks of discriminating him and his supporters, but it's not just him. There is this thing called reputational risk that the banks were doing. I don't know if they're going to do it much anymore, but they would not include people in their business that had a particular kind of reputation. Now, after the last election and after the riots on Capitol Hill, Trump's reputation dipped big time. He looked like he was a has-been there, and people didn't want to be associated with him. But this didn't. What he's wrong about is he says that this is him and his conservative friends are being sort of restricted from using this bank, but that's not the case. The bank, there are other cases where the bank has refused reputational business due to so-called reputational risk, and they come from all parts of the American culture kind of thing. So if you have a certain podcaster with a reputation, or it could be left or right of the political spectrum, it doesn't matter.
Well, I do find it disturbing that the bank can discriminate like that, right? So it's like, just because something you said on here today, you go into the bank tomorrow and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Dave, you're not getting a bank account."
Well, let's say you were a gangster, well-known gangster, and you had all kinds of money in the bank, but it could not be traced to illegal activity, but everybody kind of assumes it. Let's say you were Al Capone.
Yeah.
And you had a big bank account. And so there's a certain reputation that you have. And that in the bank's point of view, it puts aspersions on the bank.
Yeah.
If you were Noriega or somebody like that who had lots of money, they might not want to get involved. What if you had a very well? I've heard of this, but I've heard of this, but not for conservatives. I've heard it for others.
Yeah, but it's okay, Dave. Everything is perfectly okay, because if you're a gangster, if you're a Noriega or something, you can go to the world's local bank and they'll take your money any day of the week.
Well, look at how
I can't say the name, obviously, but I do say the slogan. So look up the world's local bank and you'll know which bank it is, right? They take gangster money all the time.
Yes, but that's been a problem for them, and this reputational risk. I don't know. Now the banks he's talking about there, like Chase, have said that, well, we actually do business with Trump's family and others. But remember what Trump's like. He's very vengeful. So if he is being slighted in the past, he's going to use whatever power he has to come back on them. The banks, on the other hand, have sort of deflected the whole thing and say that they're in agreement with Trump about changing regulations and reducing regulations. Well, we know what that happened that time. We know the 2008 crash when banks were free, regulatory free, and look what they did, the investment banks. But they want to do that again, and so they kind of deflected it that way. Whether or not, now the banks have never said anything really.
Well, banks really
confirm or deny.
Yeah, they wouldn't confirm or deny any of this because it doesn't look good either way for whatever they might well say. It's best to keep their mouth shut. And the irony here is that, hey, one time I went to a bank with a brilliant business idea. I'd had it written out. I'd worked with a business consultant to actually put the idea up, and it's like, so didn't need a huge ton of cash. Went to the bank. This was like 40 years ago, so quite some time ago. Went to the bank and said, "Hey, I need £30,000." Right? And they said, and their response was, "Yeah, you put up £30,000 and we'll give you £30,000." It's like, yeah, I'm going to the bank because I need money that I don't have. That's the dumbest statement I've ever heard. Good business plan. The bank manager who listened to my business, the pitch and the business plan, etc., couldn't fault it. But he wouldn't give me the money. He wouldn't give me the money, because
I don't think that had anything to do with reputational risk, though.
No, not, and nothing to do with reputational risk. It's just dumb banks.
I'm trying to find. I've
never heard of reputational risk. I have to say, I've never heard the top of reputational risk.
I'm trying to find. I know there's others in what companies have. Okay, here you go. Ryanair has had Nestle. So, there's a bunch. What's an example? What is an example of reputational risk?
Yeah, Nestle.
A few examples that help explain what leads to reputational risk are actions of wayward employees, such as egregious errors, fraudulent activities, or being recorded while mistreating a customer.
Yeah. But I've never heard. I know of that element of reputational risk, but I've never heard of it being used because of banking. And what it says here is reputational risk is anything that can result in people having a negative perception of an organization. Right? The impact of reputational risk is usually immediate, but can also be severe and long-lasting. I get it.
Well, let's say you were the leader of Antifa or something like that, and you had a lot of money. The bank feels that if they do business with you, it would cast aspersions on them.
Yeah. Yeah. But then again, you could be in a situation where you can no longer get banking.
Yeah. So basically,
for somebody like Donald Trump, he could probably open a bank. He can probably open his own bank or buy a bank.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It just, I don't think he's lying here. But what he is he's saying that him and other conservatives, well,
Yeah.
I doubt very much anyone that does not have a bad reputation, and Trump had a pretty bad reputation after the riots on Capitol Hill. So the banks may have turned him away. We find that he was restricted from Twitter and other things as well due to his reputation. The banks, of course, have come under the spotlight. Who they do business with is something that they thought would, if they did business with Donald Trump, they may not get business from other people.
Yeah.
Just because he was in there. So he's probably right about that. But what he's wrong about is it's not just the reputational risk of him and conservatives. It was others as well.
Yeah.
I think quite a few people. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to remember a person. I think they were pretty much from the left, but I'm not sure. Were refused banking from one of the big banks because of their perceived reputation.
Yeah.
And in this case, I think it was from the left. So it's anyone that is kind of famous or controversial, and if banks feel that kind of besmirched their reputation and might affect their further business, depending on who they deal with. Like if they were found to be dealing with a drug cartel, like HSBC had been doing, it might put problems on their banking. The reputation might be besmirched. So I think you're just going to see a lot less of that. If the banks know that it's actual criminal or something, maybe, but they're very, very, very careful. Like, obviously, they thought if they dealt with Donald Trump, that may make them look bad, particularly after the Capitol riots.
Let's put it this way. I don't think I would not, I wouldn't avoid going to, if I was going to open a bank account and JP Morgan Chase had the right account for me, I wouldn't not go in there just because I knew Donald Trump was also an account holder.
No, I don't think so, but that's you. You don't throw around.
And I've got no love in the world. I've got no love in the world for Donald Trump, but it wouldn't impact my my going into the bank. I'd be looking at.
I would if I known. Like I would stay away from HSBC if I could, because of their dealings with terrorists and drug and narco money.
Yeah,
they got busted, I think, twice.
Well, the worst about that
for allowing a great deal of narco dollars and terrorist dollars, looking the other way when they really knew that it was happening. As a matter of fact, the UN complained vehemently about that, how big banks turn the other way when it comes to terrorist money and narco money, because it's cash.
Yeah.
And they just kind of turn the other way and pretend they don't know.
Yeah.
So if I had I would not have gone to HSBC if I had to pick a bank.
Well, the irony here, of course, Dave, is when all that was going on, when it was originally going on, before I came to Canada, I was an HSBC bank. I had an HSBC bank card. It was my bank.
Well, Barclays.
I never knew about it. I might well have given it up. Had I still been in England and I heard about it, I might well have given it up. That's for sure.
Yeah. But if I was to start an account, I wouldn't. I would be very reluctant to go Barclays or HMS or whatever the bank, HSMC were.
HSBC,
yeah. I wouldn't if I had the choice.
Yeah.
Because they made an enormous amount of money on the sufferings of others.
Yeah.
And they were fined for it twice, I think.
And not insignificant fines. I don't know how much they were, but they were they were in the tens of millions of dollars.
They were in the hundreds of millions of dollars. I think it was $300 million. I think that I'm having trouble here recalling how much it was, but it was a drop in the ocean because of the amount of money they made out of narco dollars and terrorist dollars. They made way more than the fine. And they were also the ones that were playing with the credit scores too, making money on playing games with the credit scores. That was another deceptive move that they used to take advantage. And yet they never did get much heat on them because they made a deal. And I remember watching a news program about how that was done. They came in and negotiated with, in that particular case, the American Fed, or I don't know who they negotiated with, but they ended up with a fine of about $300 million. And the complaint was that's a tiny drop in the ocean compared to the money they made by allowing.
That the figure was 1.92 billion.
Yeah. And the objection that everybody had, that was a tiny bit of what they had made. They ran into a problem of cash flow. And what happened is they needed cash flow, and the only way to get cash flow was turn a blind eye to narco dollars and terrorist dollars, because there was plenty of cash flow there. So they that to me is reputational damage on the bank, not so much the customers. And what they should have done is exercise reputational risk on the drug lords and the terrorists who were using their bank.
Yeah. All right. I think here Trump is in the right. It's wrong to stop people banking.
The banks haven't really addressed it much, but have pointed out that they do a substantial amount of banking with Trump's kids, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that reputational risk thing is going to go out the window. If the reputational risk is based on criminal activity, that's one thing, but if based on the person's reputation, otherwise, social reputation, political reputation, that's really a gray area.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on.
Well, let's see. Chase Morgan would not take the money that the American Nazi, if the American Nazi Club or whatever had, the American Nazi Party had enormous amounts of money. Well, Chase Morgan wouldn't do it. Like, I mean, there's a clear example of reputational risk, because they love the money. Don't get me wrong, but they're worried that other money would not come if they accepted that money. Yeah. So there's a clear example of reputational risk, but it got overblown. I mean, they're putting a reputational risk on too many people, I think. So, well, we'll see how that works out. But we do know that Trump likes revenge, and he's going after the banks. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. Trying to find the smoking gun in the Weland River situation. So the city's kind of 1 year on, and the city's still, Niagara Falls city officials are still hunting the source of this discharge. We talked about this a couple of weeks back, but this is kind of the Review putting their article in.
Yeah, they did another article. Well, we saw the one by the Pointer. This time it's from the Review, and I'm glad it's in the Review. But that's only because I believe that Lori Lococo brought it up at the last council meeting near the end, and Mike pointed that out, and I saw it on. Of course, I watched the council meeting that day, but that actually later on in the night. But the truth of it is that Niagara Falls has not financed for this. Basically, it hasn't set aside resources for this. It's an unexpected thing. Niagara Falls is the one that's trying to clean up the mess, or trying to find the source of this contaminant that's going into this little channel that then goes into the Weland River. There are industries close by. The city has inspected the sewers and found no real evidence of it going through the sewer system there.
Yeah.
So we don't know where that stuff is coming from. And it's a variety of different things. What is galling to me, however, is the fact that the ministry will not tell you the results of their tests. They've done tests on the stuff, they've identified it, but they won't reveal the contents of that test. That just is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
And Eric Nichols points out in this piece that it's something that they hadn't budgeted for, and it's very expensive. They're going to try to lean on the province to come up with some more coin, but until this gets very expensive, they're not going to do enough to find it.
Yeah, and
because obviously the city attempts have not come up with any answers.
And part of the problem here is that if you don't know what the test results are, the test results may reveal the source. They may not. But if you don't know what the test results are, you may be going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I suspect that some of the stuff is stuff that might be buried. It may be dumped in a different area. Somebody may know.
You mean by somebody who's previously dumped stuff long in the distant past that no longer that's now corroded or something like that and coming to the surface.
Yeah, and it will come in waves because and there's a few different things there that Mike Cushman has identified. That
there's
not identified, but made people aware of. There's a white chalky kind of thing. There's the oily sheen thing. There's the sludge thing. If you don't know what it is, how do you know where to trace it to? Yeah,
it's very difficult very difficult to identify things like that because past crimes by previous tenants of the land is very difficult to get to know about, right?
Yeah. So anyway, it's it's pretty good, but at least we have attention on it.
Yeah,
and I don't think it would have made it to the paper unless Lori brought it up during the meeting, even though Mike Cushman has worked very hard to make everyone aware of this. But the city is doing things, and they've got socks, and they've got vac trucks, and whatever else they have there. But the trying to identify the source is the biggest problem here, and they find no evidence of it in the sewers. So tell me where that's coming from. Are they dumping it on the?
Mike says he's got some information that he's going to be sending to the city.
Okay.
Right. I don't know where it's from, but hey, that's. I hope the city pays attention.
Can anyone tell me why the Ministry of Environment will not share the results of their tests?
I don't know. I really don't. It
seems to be. It's mind-boggling to me that they sort of wash their hands of it, dump it on the city to do, and then walk away with it and do the test, and then
they've got the expertise.
What is it? We're not going to tell you.
Yeah, they've got the expertise. They should be doing more on this. I tell you, I'm disgusted by the MECP.
Yeah, but the fact is they've found no answers, and so they just kind of, can't find it. It's up to you now. Goodbye. And without the extra resources of the province, we're not going to be able to find it. We need some real environmental sleuths from the ministry that match Mike Cushman's ability in this case. I think I'm very sure the city, some in the city were just unhappy that Mike made this discovery. It was a discovery left undiscovered would be much better. What you don't know won't hurt you, but that's not the case. What you don't know can hurt you. So I don't know. It's a very frustrating thing, and that I just keep coming back to that. They've done the test. They've identified the pollutants, but won't share that information.
Yeah. And let's get the information shared. Let's get to the bottom of it. Good morning, Lee. Lee Monty, new listener. Good morning. Hi, welcome to the show. Yeah. So sorry. Let me get Mike's first comment. There's something wrong if they are not helping each other. Yeah, absolutely agree with you, Mike. All right. Spoke with the ombudsman yesterday. Okay. All right. That seems like a further discussion that we'd probably like to have at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the ministry is washing the sludge off their hands and leaving it here.
Yeah.
It's up to you. We're not going to tell you what it is. We've done the tests. We're not going to tell you what it is, but it's up to you to find it.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so this next one is interesting because I always find it interesting when I see things like this. North America's tallest ram idol rises in Mississauga. It's 51 feet, and it's a statue of Lord Ram, and it's biggest such statue in North America, and it's been getting a lot of reaction upon the net. Probably not. My first reaction would be, of course, probably a large percentage of that has been hate mail.
I don't know.
What do you think?
I'm sure there's a few, but I would think that most of it would be positive, particularly from the Indian community all over North America.
Well, I find these things fascinating. I'm presuming it's not permanent. Permanent. I'd be in two minds if it's permanent. But to bring it up for a period of time, to show it, I think it's a good thing. I hope it's not permanent.
I don't know. We had that big Buddha that was open to everyone on River Road for the longest time, right there close to the lower bridge.
Okay.
And I really didn't see anything wrong with it. There was that gigantic piece of jade right behind the library for a time. I didn't care about that. And the reason why, so I don't know how long it's going to be. It's made of fiberglass, so I don't know how long it could be lasting. 51 feet tall.
Yeah, it's probably
Lord Ram.
Yeah.
Lord Ram, also known as Ramachandra, is a revered deity in Hinduism, recognized as the seventh avatar of Vishnu. He is a central figure in the epic Ramayana, celebrated for his virtues, chivalry, embodiment of dharma, which is righteous conduct. Rama's story is the cornerstone of Hindu beliefs, emphasizing duty, loyalty, courage, and sacrifice. So Lord Ram is supposed to be the ultimate man, man of justice, but a man of courage. I think in the story, he fights off the evil demon, his evil counterpart, and it becomes victorious over his evil
that actual story that you're talking about is an ongoing. It's a TV series in India that went on for more than 20 years, I believe.
Well, I was in India just briefly for 18 in India and Nepal just for 18 days. And I got a sense of their religion, but it's a very complicated one because there's very many gods. And this is central to the central to Hinduism. It's one of their best stories, and it's good triumphing over evil.
Yeah.
And Lord Ram is supposed to be the best of men. I don't know if they have a best of women one, but he's supposed to be the best of men. He's courageous, just, kind, all those other things, and he waylays the bad guy in an epic.
Okay, so one of the comments on here is to witness over 10,000 people come together in devotion and unity for unveiling of this statue. Taking tall Murti was truly remarkable. This event was not just a celebration of our faith, but a proud moment for all Canadians who value cultural harmony and spiritual heritage. Absolutely love that comment.
Yeah, so it's a very, like, Indian religion is like the oldest one around. It has evolved over time. It has evolved over time with
Hinduism, Jainism, and others have been, and Buddhism, probably the longest religion, fully organized religions that exist on the planet, the oldest ones.
Well, we think of Jainism and Buddhism as separate religions, but among the Hindus, they feel that Buddhism and Jainism is an offshoot of Hinduism. It's just a different form of it. Buddhists and Jainists don't think of themselves as much of a religion as a way of life.
Yeah,
and that is probably sourced within Hinduism.
My understanding is from about Jainism is that Jain is actually older than Hinduism.
I don't think so, but I saw the Jains when I was in India. Some of the Jains monks or religious figures walk around naked.
Yeah,
bare naked, and they expose themselves to the elements. They don't have a home. They exist by people who give them food or water. They don't use shelter to sleep, and every once in a while you come across one or two Jains just walking around naked, and that's because in their religious belief, that's what they should do. Is complete removal from society and own nothing and have nothing. We find this among European monks that will do the same thing, have nothing, will own nothing. But in this particular case, the Jains mean really, really nothing at all. They're naked. They don't have.
They believe in not harming anything. So, for example, you might swat a fly. They don't.
No, they wouldn't. No, they're very, very benign. Religious, but like I said,
even if the fly's swatting around here and you do that, it's almost a reaction. They've taught themselves not to do that.
Well, the Hindus believe that Buddha was the 9th incarnation of Vishnu or Shiva. I can't remember which one it was. So they believe that he's just an extension of their own religion. You could follow that path if you wish.
But Buddha is not Buddhism in and of itself is not a religion. Buddhism is a way of life.
Well, that's what they say. It is, but it shows itself like a religion because they have monks and stuff like that. Yeah. So I had a good large dose of Buddhism when I was in Southeast Asia, and the devotion from Buddhists is really kind of touching, very much touching, because Buddha is that person who would take on the struggles and the pain of the average person. Like Buddhas come in different shapes and sizes. The big fat one, the reason why he's fat is because he is eating up all the evil and all the distress of all the other people and smiling about it because it's not harming him. So he's absorbing all the pain, and that's why he's so huge. So he's
And by
not
the way,
obese he's not obese by overeating, which was against Buddhism, but he is that big because he has absorbed all the evil and badness, and it doesn't bother him one bit. That's why he's smiling.
And by the way, to answer Mike's question, the deity in concerned is a Hindu deity.
Yeah, Hindu deity, Lord Ram.
Lord Ram.
Lord Ram, he's blue, and he's an archer.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, so good for them. Love it. I think it's something we should be proud of. You know, it's you know, let's celebrate it. Good for them. All right. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. Premier Ford is saying he doesn't really trust Trump, and in relation to the tariffs, and in reality, he could it would be wise to reopen the trade pact that they previously come up with.
Well, Doug Ford has put it out in more than once lately that even if you do have a new CUSMA or USMCA, whatever you want, new deal that they made in 2020, no one can trust it.
Yeah,
because Ford can change it at a moment's
not
notice.
Ford, Trump can
change
it in a moment, not Ford.
Yeah, Trump can change it at a moment with a signature. He said he could pull the rug out from any kind of deal or any kind of pronouncement, as he's demonstrated over and over again. Look what he did to the Swiss. Look what he did here and there. These deals have never been really inked, and he changes them as he goes. The one that he put on Brazil was ridiculous, because the United States had a huge trade surplus with Brazil, and then he puts a 50% tariff on the stuff that does come from Brazil because he doesn't like what they're doing to Bolsonaro. It's none of his business. He puts our trade, the tariff up on Canada, partly because we look like we might recognize Palestine. That's none of his business, none. So he's trying to. And he's put on another 25% on the Indian tariffs because they use oil from Russia. That really isn't much of his business. He wants a quick fix to the Russia thing. And he says, oh, India uses Russian oil. We encouraged them to use Russian oil before, and now we're telling them not to use it. And if you keep using it, we're going to put another 25% tariff on you.
Yeah. And it's not surprising because India is part of BRICS, of course. And what does the R in BRICS stand for? Russia.
Yeah, and you can't be trusted. That's the main thing. This deal we have, the USMCA deal that we have with the United States, could be canceled by stroke of the pen because he's abusing his authority as the president.
Yeah.
Now, the authority that he's using to bring in tariffs and punitive tariffs like that is in the courts right now, and he'll probably lose the ability to use it. But in the meantime, it has to go through the courts, and as that goes, it might take a year or two. Who knows how much it will take before the courts say, "Look, you have to give that power over to the Congress. You're abusing that emergency power for trivial means," and that's exactly what he's doing. But no, of course, the Republicans have no spine, and they won't recapture what the Republicans in Congress should be doing, is saying, "Hey, that's what we do. What are you doing? That's what we do." But they just spine out. They just kind of wither on the vine. And if they're going to do that, what good is it to have a Congress that will do the bidding of the president? No matter, here, you want our power? Here, take it. What good is the Congress then? That's part of the checks and balance of executive authority, Congress, the Senate, and the judiciary.
And in fact, actually, usually what happens in America is the majority of the bills and majority of acts of their parliament come from the House of Representatives through the Senate to and are signed off by the president rather than anything else. And it's for every bill that the president puts into law, the House of Representatives puts in 100.
Yeah, they have to be signed by the president.
Yeah,
he could veto them
by the president, and the president has the power to say, "I don't like this part of it."
Yeah, there's all kind. The whole idea is checks and balances.
Yes,
but if you're in the Congress and you're afraid of the president, you're afraid of getting primaried, you're afraid of speaking out against him, then what good are you?
Yeah.
What good are you? You have to. You're going to get into like when the Congress is more balanced. If it was a Democratic Congress right now, they would feel free to be able to battle against them because they're not afraid of the MAGA backlash. They're not afraid of being primaried. But the Republicans are all afraid, and so they're spineless. Except for Thomas Massey and remarkably Marjorie Taylor Greene. Wow, I didn't see that one coming, but
yeah, but she's just proving she's got independent thought.
Yeah, she does.
Unlike the other lady, what was her name?
Oh, AOC.
Yeah.
Oh God, she's an embarrassment.
Yeah. Yeah. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, you expect her to support Trump, and when she doesn't, you kind of go, "Oh, okay, that's interesting."
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. So, what Doug Ford is putting out here is that we cannot trust Trump, and he's trying to warn us all that it doesn't matter what kind of an agreement you come up with. It doesn't matter.
He'll just wave it away in an instant if he feels it no longer should apply. Yeah.
Yes. If he feels that USMCA, he doesn't like it anymore, he could just pencil it out. But that has to be renegotiated next year. In a few months, they have to renegotiate it. And what Ford is trying to tell us, that he's going to stiff us. He's going to stiff us bad. Yeah. And he's going to try to make Canada a slave to the United States, basically, in any way he can. Instead of making friends with us and joining with us for a positive economy on both sides, he's going to try to hurt us. Yeah. And he's going to bring in as many punitive things. And what Ford tells us, that if he signs on to a deal tomorrow and you take that piece of paper home and say, "Hey, we got a deal," tomorrow he can say, "I don't want that deal anymore," and just write it off. He can't be trusted. And unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for Congress to reassert their authority over tariffs, the parts that they should have. The emergency tariff or economic ability that Trump is exploiting was meant to be used against adversaries, let's say Russia or China, who are abusing or starting wars or abusing the economic system. But you see that he got tough with China, and China just flipped him off, and he had to go back, and he's begging them basically now behind the scenes to make a deal. Yeah. And in particular, like, because China had, who made the phone call? China, Trump chickened out.
But remember
Trump was the one who made a phone call to China, say, "Hey, come on, I'm sorry about that. Let's bring things down."
Yeah, but I think what Ford is saying is largely addressed at Mark Carney, a prime minister, rather than addressed at Ford. He's warning us here, Canadians, Ontario Prime Minister Carney, and businesses locally about what Ford can do, what Trump can do.
Yeah, and remember this expression, this latest expression of "you can't trust Trump no matter what." And get ready, because he's going to be a complete jerk, and you can't trust him. If he inks a deal, you can't trust it. Nothing can be trusted. with Trump. So he made that pronouncement after a meeting with Carney. So you have a feeling that both Carney and Ford and whoever else might have been there, other premiers, that they realized that no matter how many deals you ink with this guy, you can't be trusted, because the next day he'll just change it again.
Yep.
And we see with the deals with the European Union, nobody's quite sure what's going to happen. The one with Switzerland was supposed to be the tariffs were supposed to go down on Switzerland, but they actually went up. And then Ford demanded an investment into the United States from Switzerland of $150 billion, or it was going to stay that way. Well, what's Switzerland going to think right now? They're going to think, well, even if we do commit to something like that, there's no guarantee this guy's going to do hold to the deal.
Yeah.
That's what he doesn't do. It's his, if he doesn't like it, he's going to, just do what he wants to do. So nobody could trust the guy. The Swiss president or prime minister flew all the way to Washington for an emergency meeting, but got sort of rebuked and had to go all the way back home. So there's no talking to them.
Yeah.
When the Japanese minister came over for consultations on security for his meeting, nobody was there to meet him, and he waited around a couple of days, and nobody knew what the hell he was talking about. Even though they arranged this meeting, he had to go home because when he went to Washington, there was no preparation to talk to him, although they're the ones that made the meeting. So pretty soon you're going to see Trump be pushed out of office. I'm pretty sure. It's a matter of time. I don't know who's going to take over. There's lots of rumors about Vance.
I've seen rumors floating around Facebook about that. I haven't seen any serious moves about removing him.
No, but you have J.D. Vance going to see Rupert Murdoch, and then 2 days later, a scathing report comes out of Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal saying that Donald Trump had sent a letter to Epstein on his birthday, a lewd letter. After that, Trump gets really mad. And then what does Rupert Murdoch do? He puts in another article about how Trump was briefed about the Epstein files and told that he's in them many times. And we've had this.
We know that Trump did go to Epstein Island. There's no doubting about that. What we don't know is whether he went to one of those sex parties or something else.
I don't think he went to Epstein Island, but he did hang out with Epstein in Epstein's other places that were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he knew what Epstein was up to. I don't think he engaged in it because he's smart enough not to. I mean, he made us snogged an 18-year-old, but he wasn't going to go snog a 17-year-old. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But the whole thing is they're trying to control this. They're trying to put up a lot of deflections. They're trying to put up the Obama thing, the Hillary thing, all this other kind of thing, but it's not satisfying MAGA. Apparently they had a meeting at Vance's house. Like you had Bondi and Kash Patel and Vance and Trump and everybody in there. They're all trying to get on the same page with the Epstein story. They all have to come up with a strategy to fight this Epstein thing, because this is one thing that Trump has not been able to control. He usually was able to deflect things, and he's tried by making up these accusations against Obama and Clinton and all the others with the Russia thing, but it's not working. They can throw as much they call it throwing red meat at the MAGA base, something they like to tear at. Remember, MAGA were the ones that were J.D. Vance and Kash Patel and Bondi all have been notably asking for the release of the files because they suspected it was full of Democrats. But now, when the files are in their hands and they look at it, they think, there's probably a lot of Republicans in it and people they don't want being exposed. So suddenly it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
When it's been an issue since his last administration.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think anybody who's in power probably wants, there's a lot of people who are in power who don't want those Epstein files released.
I think that Trump will be marginalized and pretty soon. I don't. The best thing that could happen is during the primaries that the Congress and the Senate go over to the Democrats. At least you have some balance of power there. You won't have a whole lot of spineless
during the midterms. You mean?
Yeah, during the midterms, you won't have a lot of. We have less Republicans, spineless Republicans, bowing to their beloved leader, the mega cult figure.
Yeah,
and that would be the best. I think, and that's why they're trying to adjust electoral districts in Texas because they want 5 more seats. So a lot of silly things are happening. Unfortunately, they're dangerous for the democracy of the United States if he keeps going the way he does. I have a feeling that people like Vance and Rubio and guys with a little bit more adult sort of ideas will probably marginalize him somehow and force him to act more like an adult. But I think the economy is going to be the big killer if once the tariffs come in, even though it's a slow process, it will affect the economy because the tariffs are the tax. They always say, well, if you tax a person, then they have less money to spend in the economy, so it hurts the economy. So, but on the other hand, this is a tax. So it's removing money from the economy. The Ford points out that the auto industries have lost $6.2 billion, had to eat $6.2 billion of their profits while they're waiting for all this to sort out. So I think probably the economy in the end will kill him. But in the meantime, he's acting super irrationally and changes his mind on, like he says, okay, well, the kids in Gaza are starving. That's really obvious. And then he turns around and says, well, let Israel carry on doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's no sense at all. He said he was going to fix stop the war in Russia and Ukraine in the first week that he was in office. It's been 6 months and it's worse than ever.
Yeah.
He said he was going to fix the Gaza thing. It's worse than ever.
He did temporarily.
He's just noise.
He did temporarily, but he just came back.
Yeah, well, that was just.
Yeah.
Netanyahu only did that to appease him for a moment, and then he turned around and carried on.
Yep.
So Trump has no power. Trump's power in the world, American power, has been diminished. People are not taking him seriously. And you have here in this article, Ford saying you can't trust him. You can make a deal with him. You can write it down and make it a deal and make it a tariff deal. And he could remove it the next day if he doesn't like it. So he cannot be trusted.
Yeah.
And I think the whole world is beginning to see that you can't be trusted. The guy cannot be held to his word. If he says, okay, we got a deal and this is what we're going to do, you know that he cannot be held to his word because he's not an honorable man.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Live human chess is returning to Niagara Falls, Queen Victoria Park, August 16th between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Participants dressed as chess pieces will move across the giant 8x8 grid, reenacting strategic battles in real time.
Yeah, this is a human chess thing.
So what are we gonna see? Are we gonna see Bishop takes Rook, and Bishop then comes across into the space that the Rook is in, and breaks down the tower?
I don't know what it's like. It's basically just
Yeah.
people taking the places of the
players.
pieces. But I when I read it, I can't figure out, is it a person that is directing the people, or the people just saying, hey, I think I'll go over here?
No, well, actually, that's interesting, because what it should be is, of course, a person directing the person. You know, Queen.
I was in a place in northern Italy called Marostica. It's not far from Florence. It's an old walled-in town and city. They have a chess tournaments on horses.
Yeah.
Where they have horses and people on the chess piece, and it's called the Marostica Human Chess Game. Well, I saw the big chess board there. It's a walled-in city, and within the walled-in, it's a very interesting place. It was at the crossroads of history for many years. In any case, you can. So that happens every year. That's part of their tradition. So this human chess thing.
Well,
I think it started in Ottawa, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know where it started, but I got the answer to the question. How the thing, live human chess blends theatrical performance with strategic gameplay, turning traditional chess match into a dramatic spectacle. So there's kind of, as you kind of take the player's place and you knock them out, there's kind of I guess a battle in which the oncoming player comes in and battles out the
so you get a bishop knocks out a pawn, so the pawn goes
that kind of thing. Yeah. Right. But it's actually played. The game is controlled by the people who play the chess on either side. A chess master or a narrator calls out the moves. Right.
So when's that going to happen? August what?
August 16th, I think.
August
16th at 5 p.m.
Well, I won't be here because I'll be at the Minto Cup watching the lacrosse game.
Yeah. Okay.
That's happening too for anybody that's interested in lacrosse. The Minto Cup is happening in St. Catharines, and that's the best teams around playing the Minto Cup.
What is the Minto Cup?
It's just a lacrosse tournament that's been happening since 1935.
Oh.
Where the best teams go and fight it.
Best teams from where? Ontario?
Ontario, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's good. Okay. So this is kind of the end of the Ontario lacrosse season.
It never ends. Lacrosse season never ends. Basically, once it ends. Once the senior A and the junior A's and the senior A's and all finish their cycles, then the pros start again.
Yeah.
So the pros will be starting, and then you can go over to Buffalo or watch the Rock. They'll be playing again in Hamilton because the Cops Coliseum there, or whatever it was, the Hamilton Arena or whatever it was, is under renovations. So once those renovations are done, the Rock will be playing back there again. So what I would do with a friend or two of mine, we'd go up and watch the Rock game and then go across Buffalo and watch the Bandits game. Bandits have won the national lacrosse title 3 times in a row. They did a three-peat.
Yeah. I know that the Rock won one time.
Oh yeah, the Rock has won. Other players too. There's Saskatchewan, Rush. There's Albany. Albany's got a team, but the best teams are these days. Oh, Georgia had a really good club too there for a while, somewhere in Georgia. I don't know if it was out of Savannah or whether it was Charleston, whatever. But they had a pretty good club as well. So they come from all over. It's a professional sports all over the United States and Canada, and it's just good sports entertainment. Having played lacrosse, of course, it's of interest to me. There's 2 kinds. In professional lacrosse, they play 4 periods, whereas these local ones here do the old traditional 3-period play. They've taken a lot of the roughness out of the game, when I played the game, it was your shelf life as a professional wouldn't have lasted too long. So they had to make the game a little bit more less violent, I would say, or less aggressive. But it's just really good. So the Minto Cup is starting, and you can get a really good deal on tickets for $130. I've got the whole tournament. I got tickets for the whole tournament.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay, so moving on from live chess and Minto Cup. What's our next story here? Okay, so why doesn't Canada already have much stronger ties with Mexico? We were talking about them dealing with this yesterday.
Yeah, you brought that up. You actually brought that up. You said, maybe me too. I don't know, but I remember you bringing it up. I wonder why we haven't already talked to them.
Yeah,
and why
but
why
you
that
see,
seems to be in the back burner.
yeah, CBC were basically asking the same question that we asked yesterday, right?
Yeah.
We raised this yesterday morning. The CBC have been asking exactly the same question, right? And it's
You want to postpone the discussion on this because it's 8:01 now.
Oh yeah, okay, we can do that and do that tomorrow. Let's bring that one. I lost track of the time. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, we'll come back to that tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, you got it. Like, I don't want you to lose your job, man, because you got to pay the taxes, where I get my government checks.
I can't pay
have to.
taxes. I've
You
got
have
to
to
pay
do your
myself.
duty and pay your taxes so I can get my government checks.
I've got to be able to pay myself before I can pay taxes.
Yeah, well, you're death and taxes, brother. You're not going to avoid them.
Yeah. All right. I know. Yeah. Thank you, Dave, for a reminder. Okay. So yeah, I was looking at the clock before and then missed the clock at that point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll come back to that tomorrow. Because I think it's a valid point. Other people raised it as well as us, right?
Yes.
Okay, and anything else to talk about, to discuss?
Gaza. I always bring up Gaza during the show someplace. That's going insane right now. Netanyahu says he's going to take over and completely occupy Gaza. We know what he wants to do. He wants to make it so miserable that people can't live there. He's going to try to push them out of there. That's what they're trying to do in the West Bank too. I don't know why the world is letting them do that, but I mean, the more we bring light upon it, the more we bring light upon it, it helps everybody understand what is going on there, look into the history of the place. And when I hear people saying, well, why don't the Arab countries take in these Gazans? Well, why should they? For one thing, Gaza is their home. For the next thing, the 70% of the people in Gaza are refugees from the other parts of what is now Israel, and because they got pushed off their land. And every Arab country has a lot of the Palestinian diaspora already.
Yeah,
Jordan is over 60% Palestinian. Southern Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, Libya. They all, the UAE, Iraq, they all have Palestinians in them after being forced off their land back in 1948, 1967.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So and many of these people, that's where their traditional home has been.
Remember, it's Palestinian Christians as well. I brought this up. Yeah. Palestinian community, one of the last Palestinian Christian communities that have been able to survive the settler movement, is being attacked quite often now with fire. An old church that was built about 500 AD is there, and they want it knocked down. And of course, that everywhere they go, they're spitting at Christians too, which doesn't make it to the American news because they are pretty much slavish to the Israeli point of view in Western media.
These Christians are not, they are traditionalist Christians, aren't they? Many of them.
No, some of them are Catholics. Some of them are Greek Orthodox.
Yeah,
you even have a few Protestants, but they are the oldest Christians around. but I think I'm not so sure how many of them are Catholic and how many of them are Greek Orthodox, but they have that. They also have Armenian. The Armenian church is there as well established in Jerusalem. So that was permitted under the Ottomans. Actually, the Ottomans permitted all that. They permitted synagogues and churches and all that. But now we find that the ethno-religious state of Israel has become extremely intolerant. And anyway.
Yeah. All right. All right.
Without further ado, I bid you adieu.
Yeah, and bye.